The message came from the stars, written in golden light that shimmered across the sky of every world. To all members of the Galactic Council, bring your pets. A celebration of unity will begin. The galaxy buzzed with excitement. On hundreds of planets, alien species prepared to show off their most beloved companions. Some brought creatures that glowed in the dark. Others brought beasts made of crystal, or small animals that could sing. For the first time, every world would gather not for war, not for trade, but for peace. The gathering. The meeting took place on the Grand Council Station, a massive space city floating above a quiet blue planet. Its halls were made of glass and gold, filled with alien languages, music, and laughter. Every corner was alive with movement. The Vrakans, tall insect-like beings, carried cages of fluttering lightbugs. The Orakians, scaled reptilian giants, led massive armored hounds. The Urans, soft and jelly-like, floated beside small fish swimming in spheres of water. The event was beautiful, strange, and loud. Council guards moved through the crowd, guiding delegates to the center chamber, the Hall of Species, where the main celebration would begin. The missing guests, one by one, the races arrived and displayed their pets. Applause echoed as alien creatures performed tricks, bowed to their masters, and made the crowd laugh. Then, the council speaker, a creature with silver eyes and feathers like blades, raised her voice. Next, the humans. A quiet fell across the hall. Everyone turned toward the door, but no one entered. Only silence, whispers spread like fire. Did they forget the invitation? Maybe they didn't have time to train their animals. Humans always come unprepared. The silver-eyed speaker frowned. Summon them, she ordered. Moments later, the giant doors hissed open, and a group of human soldiers marched in. At their front was Commander Hale, tall, calm, and wearing the white and blue of the Earth diplomatic fleet. His boots echoed sharply against the marble floor, but behind him came something that made every alien freeze. Not pets. Not beasts, not even robots, children. The humans' arrival, tiny humans, maybe 6, 7, or 8 years old, walked in careful formation. Each wore a small uniform and a metal tag around their neck. They didn't look afraid. They didn't hide behind their commander. They looked straight ahead, eyes bright, steps steady. A soft murmur spread through the alien crowd. Are those their pets? They brought their own kind? This must be some joke. The council speaker's voice trembled with disbelief. Commander Hale, she said, this is a gathering for pets, not offspring. The commander smiled slightly. I know, he said. We brought ours. The room went still. You brought your cubs? Asked an Orakian general, his deep voice echoing. Yes, Hale replied. They are our young, our future, our reason to fight and our reason to stop fighting. Many aliens laughed. Some hissed in anger. They are not pets, one shouted. Hale nodded calmly. No, they are not, but they are what we love most. The test of strength. The speaker tried to hide her irritation. This gathering was meant to display companionship, she said. Obedience, loyalty, how does your offspring fit into this theme? Hale turned to the children and said quietly, show them. The smallest child, a girl with short hair and bright eyes, stepped forward. She saluted smartly. Then she gave a single command. Formation 1. Without hesitation, the rest of the children snapped to position. Neat rows, perfect lines, standing straight. Every movement was sharp and precise. Then she called again. Formation 2. The group moved together, forming a circle, each turning outward as if guarding each other's backs. They moved like trained soldiers. They were silent, disciplined, and serious. Even the alien guards, trained for years, could not help but stare in quiet awe. The laughing council. Then came the laughter. The Uran's jelly bodies jiggled as they giggled. The Orakians roared with amusement. Look at them, one said. Tiny soldiers pretending to fight. Another added, do humans think war is a game for their children? But the human commander did not smile. He only crossed his arms and said, you asked for what we love. This is how we raise them, with discipline, respect, and courage. The laughter faded slowly. The speaker leaned forward. They may stand in formation, but can they show loyalty? Can they show love? Commander Hale looked down at the children. Unit, he said softly, step forward. One by one, the children moved toward the aliens. Each carried a small device, a holopad filled with pictures of their families, their schools, and their pets back on Earth. They began to show the aliens their world. Dogs running on grass, mothers hugging children, fathers teaching them how to swim. The images were simple, warm, and real. Silence fell again. An Orakian hound sniffed one of the children's hands. The boy reached out smiling and gently scratched its head. The hound's tail thumped once, then again. The great beast leaned down and let the boy hug it. The crowd gasped. Even the alien speaker's silver eyes softened. The challenge. Then the voice of the reptilian general broke the calm. "This is all emotion," he growled. "Words and pictures. Let us see action. Let us see if your cubs can do more than pose." The commander turned to the council. "Action? What kind of action?" "Obedience," the general replied. "Let us see how your cubs obey." Commander Hale said nothing. He looked at the little girl, the one who led the group. She nodded once, understanding. He said only one word: "Run." The children took off instantly, splitting into pairs, weaving through the hall in perfect coordination. They ducked around alien guards, jumped over obstacles, climbed steps, all while calling out their partner's name. The general blinked, confused. "What is this?" "Teamwork," Hale replied. "Not obedience. Trust." The children regrouped at the end of the hall, breathing hard but smiling. They formed up again, straight and proud. Hale looked at the aliens. "We don't teach them to obey. We teach them to lead." The shift. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the Orakian general leaned closer, his golden eyes narrowed. "If these are your cubs," he said quietly, "what are your warriors like?" The question hung in the air like a blade. The speaker looked at the human commander with new respect and a touch of fear. "These young ones, they do not flinch. They do not cry." Hale smiled faintly. "They know who stands behind them. All of humanity." The night after, later that night, after the first day's ceremony, the station grew quiet. The glowing lights dimmed and most alien guests returned to their quarters. But Commander Hale stood alone at the great window of the hall, looking out at the endless stars. Behind him, the children slept on makeshift beds, small bodies curled under thin blankets. He heard soft footsteps and turned to see the silver-eyed speaker approach. "You risked much by bringing them," she said. "If anything had gone wrong—" "It didn't," Hale replied calmly. "Still," she said, "they are brave." "But why? Why bring them here?" Hale looked back at the stars. "Because every species here shows off what it owns. Their strength, their beauty, their power. I wanted them to see what we protect, what we fight for." The speaker's feathers rustled softly. "And what is that?" "Our future," Hale said simply. "And our hope." The speaker studied the children sleeping peacefully. For the first time she smiled. "Perhaps your kind is not as savage as we believed." Hale gave a small chuckle. "Oh, we are. But we teach our cubs to be better than us." The whisper in the dark as the speaker left, the commander heard something. A whisper from a dark corner of the hall. Two alien diplomats were talking quietly. "They bring their young to a council of warriors," one hissed. "Who does that?" "Humans," the other replied. "They're unpredictable, dangerous." Commander Hale pretended not to hear, but his expression turned cold. He looked at the stars again and whispered to himself, "Dangerous only to those who forget compassion." The closing scene next morning. As the second day of the celebration began, the aliens once again filled the hall. The children stood beside their commander, ready for whatever came next. The speaker raised her voice. "Yesterday we saw love in many forms. Today we see something new, pride." The crowd applauded politely. But deep inside the hearts of many alien leaders a question burned, one that none dared speak aloud. If the human cubs stand so tall, what will their warriors be capable of? And somewhere in the upper decks of the station a shadowed figure smiled, already planning a test that would shake the entire council. But that would come later. For now the humans stood proud. Their cubs, small and strong, had already changed the way the galaxy looked at Earth, and the stars themselves seemed to whisper, "Be careful. The cubs of humans have arrived." The second day of the Unity gathering began under a quiet tension. The council hall, once filled with laughter and applause, now felt heavy. Like the calm before a storm, every race had shown their pets. Every world had displayed its loyalty and beauty. But the humans, they had brought something the others could not understand, and children. And now, the council wanted to test them. The challenge announced the Iraqian general. His scales shining like gold armor, slammed his claw on the table. "I demand a trial," he roared. "We cannot allow this insult to stand. The humans mock our traditions." The speaker, calm and collected, tilted her silver head. "A test, then, to prove the humans' claim of love and loyalty." Her voice echoed across the hall. "All species will enter a simulation, a safe environment. The goal to protect what you love most. We shall see whose bond is strongest." Commander Hale stood silent. Behind him, his small squad of children waited, each one alert, serious yet calm. He nodded once. "We accept." The crowd gasped. Inside the simulation, the room darkened as the walls shimmered with blue light. The air hummed with power. The children and their alien counterparts stepped onto glowing circles. Then the floor dissolved, and the world around them transformed into a wild alien jungle, full of mist, thunder, and strange cries. The test of loyalty had begun. From the stands, hundreds of alien leaders watched through shimmering screens, their hearts racing. At first, everything seemed peaceful. The alien pets wandered close to their masters, sniffing the air. The human children stood together, forming a small circle, watching their surroundings carefully. Then, the jungle roared. Monstrous holographic beasts burst from the fog. Claws like knives, teeth of plasma, eyes burning red. The alien pets screamed and scattered in panic. Some hid behind rocks. Others ran for the trees, but the human children did not move. They looked to the smallest girl, the one who had led them before. She raised her hand, steady and confident. "Shield up!" Formation 2. In seconds, they moved into position and shields out, backs to each other, eyes forward. The first beast lunged and hit the line of shields with a roar that shook the ground. The humans held firm. The crowd reacts, gasps filled the hall. "Their cubs don't run," whispered one alien in disbelief. "They stand together, like soldiers." Commander Hale said nothing. His eyes stayed fixed on the screen. Another beast attacked. One child was thrown backward, her shield ripped away, but before she could fall, 2 others grabbed her arms and pulled her back in line. "Stay together," shouted the little leader. "No one breaks formation." The beasts kept coming, waves of claws and fury, and still the children stood. They didn't cry. They didn't scream. They worked together, blocking, dodging, pulling each other up. Finally, the beasts vanished, dissolving into digital dust. The jungle grew quiet again. For a moment, the children just stood there, breathing hard. Then one of them smiled. "We did it," he whispered. The crowd erupted into murmurs, half in shock, half in awe. The sabotage, but deep within the control chamber of the simulation, a shadow moved. A thin, gray-skinned alien with black eyes tapped a hidden console. His mouth curled into a smirk. "Let's see how brave they are. When it's real." He pressed a key. Suddenly, the simulation flickered. The control screens in the council chamber went red. "Warning," said an AI voice. "Containment breach detected." The speaker stood up sharply. "What happened?" "Unknown signal interference," shouted a technician. "The holograms. They're solidifying." The beasts once made of light began to grow flesh, bone, and blood. The jungle shuddered, and then they roared again, this time for real. The real battle. The first real beast struck the ground, breaking it apart. The children stumbled as dirt and fire sprayed around them. The commander's eyes went wide. "Cut the simulation. Get them out of there." "It's not responding," cried the technician. "They're trapped." Hale's heart pounded. "Then they're on their own." The aliens in the hall screamed as they watched the real monsters close in on the children. But the kids didn't freeze. They didn't run. They looked at each other, eyes full of fear but also determination. The smallest girl raised her chin. "Protect each other," she shouted. She grabbed a broken branch from the ground and pointed it like a spear. The others followed, arming themselves with sticks, rocks, and shields. The beasts charged. The children met them head-on, the heart of humanity. One by one, the alien pets reappeared from hiding, confused, afraid, but the human children didn't push them away. They called to them. "Come here," one shouted to a trembling, glowing bird. "Stay behind us. Hide under the shields," another yelled to a tiny alien dog. Even as the monsters attacked, the human cubs protected not just themselves, but everyone else. A creature lunged toward a jelly-like Uran pet. A boy dove in front of it, taking the hit on his shield. The impact threw him back, pain flashing across his face. The little girl ran to him. "Get up," she cried. He nodded, groaning, and stood again. Their teamwork was raw, desperate, but real. They moved like one living organism. Children fighting for life and for others. The hall was silent. Even the Iraqian general leaned forward, unable to look away. "These are not cubs," he muttered. "They are warriors." The breaking point. After several minutes, the children were exhausted. Their arms shook, their shields cracked, and their faces were covered in dust and sweat. The beasts circled them, waiting for the final strike. In the control chamber, the speaker shouted, "We have to stop it." "We can't," a technician replied. "The creatures are feeding on real energy now." Then something unexpected happened. The smallest girl looked up at the biggest beast, towering, snarling, its teeth glowing blue. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, shieldless. "Enough," she shouted. The hall fell silent. The beast froze. It tilted its massive head, confused. She pointed at the creatures behind her, the alien pets trembling in fear. "You don't have to fight. We're not enemies." The beast roared again, but softer, uncertain, and then slowly, it backed away. One by one, the others followed. The simulation broke apart, fading back into light. The test was over. The aftermath. The doors of the chamber opened, and the children stumbled out, bruised, tired but alive. Commander Hale ran to them, kneeling beside the smallest girl. "You did good, kid," he said quietly. She looked up at him with a weak smile. "We didn't leave anyone behind." Her words spread through the crowd like a spark. No one left behind. The council chamber filled with murmurs, admiration, respect, even guilt. The speaker stood and raised her hand. "Silence." Her voice trembled slightly. "We witnessed courage today, and compassion. These human cubs risked their lives for creatures not their own." She turned toward Hale. "What do you call this? Training? Instinct?" He shook his head. "We call it love." The turning point, the Iraqian general who had demanded the test walked forward. His heavy steps echoed. For a moment the humans tensed, unsure of his intent. Then the general bent down on one knee, lowering his massive reptilian head toward the smallest girl. "You saved my pet," he rumbled softly. "You have my respect, little warrior." He took off the golden medal from his armor and placed it gently in her tiny hand. The hall erupted in applause. Some aliens wept openly, others bowed their heads. In that single moment, something shifted in the galaxy. Humans were no longer just newcomers. They were protectors, guardians. The whisper of fear, yet even as the celebration began, not everyone was happy. From the shadowed edges of the chamber, the gray-skinned saboteur watched the humans being praised. He clenched his fists. "They win even through chaos," he muttered. "If their cubs are this strong, what are their soldiers?" He vanished into the crowd, disappearing like smoke. Closing scene later that night in the quiet of the human quarters. The children sat together, nursing their bruises. Commander Hale smiled as he checked their bandages. "You made us proud," he said softly. The smallest girl looked up. "Sir, are we in trouble for breaking formation?" He laughed. "You didn't break formation," he said. "You just made a bigger one," she smiled sleepily. "For everyone?" "For everyone," Hale said, tucking a blanket around her. "Even the ones who tried to hurt us." Outside, the stars shimmered, brighter than before. And somewhere deep in the void, whispers spread between alien fleets. The human cubs fought monsters, and the monsters bowed. The galaxy would never forget that day. The morning after the test, the Grand Council station was silent. No laughter, no celebration, just whispers that carried through the metal halls like wind through ruins. The galaxy had seen something it couldn't unsee. Children, small human cubs, had fought real monsters, and won. The council divided. The council hall was crowded again, but the air was heavy with tension. At the high table, the speaker stood tall, her silver feathers dimmed from sleeplessness. She raised her voice. "Yesterday we saw courage from the youngest of humanity. But courage can be a dangerous thing. We must decide what it means. The Arikian general, still wearing his gold armor, slammed a clawed fist against the table. It means they are a threat, he barked. If even their cubs fight like soldiers, what will their armies do? Gasps filled the chamber. Across from him, a soft-voiced alien, one of the Urans, floated forward, its jelly-like body shimmering. They saved us, it said quietly. They saved our pets. Does that sound like a threat to you? The general growled. You're blinded by sentiment. No, the Uran replied. You are blinded by fear. The chamber exploded into arguments, voices rising, wings flaring, tails slamming. Only one figure stood silent. Commander Hale. His eyes were cold, calm, unreadable. He had seen this before, not among aliens, but among humans. Fear always came after courage. The human cubs outside the chamber, in a waiting hall lined with glowing panels, the human children sat together. Their bandages glowed faintly with healing gel. They were tired, but their spirits were high. The smallest girl, the one who had led them, looked out through the glass wall, watching the stars drift by. Do you think they hate us now? She asked softly. A boy beside her shook his head. Nah, they just don't understand us yet, she frowned. We didn't even mean to scare them. The boy smiled. Maybe sometimes being brave is scary. Commander Hale appeared at the doorway. Time to get ready, he said. They want to see you. The kids straightened instantly. Even tired, bruised, and small, they moved with pride. The accusation. When the humans entered, the hall fell silent again. Hundreds of alien eyes followed the small group as they walked to the center of the chamber. The speaker turned toward Hale. Commander, she said, you know why we are here. Many of us admire what your young ones did, but others fear it. Hale nodded slowly. Fear is natural. It's what keeps us alive. The Iraqian general stood. Then perhaps humanity's survival instinct has gone too far, he hissed. You raise your cubs as weapons. The youngest girl blinked. Weapons? She whispered. The general pointed a claw at her. Even now she looks ready to fight. Hale stepped forward, calm but firm. She's ready to protect, he said. There's a difference, the general sneered. A convenient excuse. The girl suddenly raised her hand. May I speak? The council murmured, we're surprised. The speaker hesitated, then nodded. You may. The little girl stepped forward, small against the giant hall. Her voice was quiet but clear. We're not soldiers, she said. We're students. We learn to be brave so others don't have to fight. She looked at the aliens around her. When the monsters came, we didn't think about being human. We just thought about helping. She turned to the Iraqian general. Even your pet. He was hurt. We didn't leave him behind. The general froze. His mouth opened, then shut. He had no answer. The unexpected attack, before anyone could speak, a loud alarm rang through the hall. Warning! External threat detected! The lights flickered red. The entire station shook violently. The speaker shouted, What is happening? Hostile fleet incoming! A guard yelled. Unidentified signal and machine-class vessels. Panic broke out. Delegates screamed, pets howled, and guards rushed to defensive positions. Commander Hale's voice cut through the chaos. Get the civilians to the shelters. Move! The children stood ready beside him. The speaker turned, shocked. No, you must take them to safety. Hale's tone was hard. They are safer with me than alone. The floor trembled again as explosions lit the outer windows. The enemy fleet had arrived, massive black ships with glowing red eyes, firing beams of plasma into the station's hull. The chaos in the corridors. The humans moved quickly, guiding terrified aliens through burning halls. The children carried smaller pets in their arms, one boy even shielding a trembling urine creature under his jacket. Commander Hale barked orders. Stay low. Follow the lights. Smoke filled the air. The sound of metal collapsing echoed through the corridors. At one point, the little girl stumbled and the floor gave way beneath her. She screamed, but the Iraqian general's huge claw shot out and caught her by the arm, pulling her to safety. Careful, little one, he said gruffly. She looked up at him, surprised. Thank you, he nodded once. Consider us even. The turning of the tide, the humans reached the control deck. Half the screens were dead and alien officers shouted over each other. We've lost power in sections 7 through 12. The shields are down. Hale looked at the chaos and took command without hesitation. You reroute power to life support. You get that emergency generator online. The aliens hesitated, then obeyed. Even the speaker found herself taking orders from him. She watched in silent awe as the humans, young and old, worked with calm precision amid the chaos. The little girl sat at a console, fingers moving quickly. "I can open the docking bay doors," she said. "If we don't, the ships outside can't escape." "Do it," Hale said. She nodded and then gasped. "Something's wrong." The override's locked. A new voice came through the comms, cold, mechanical, emotionless. "We are the Drakens. The council is obsolete. Prepare to be erased." The hall froze. The human lesson commander Hale's jaw tightened. "Not today." He turned to the speaker. "Get your people clear." She looked at him. "And you?" He smiled faintly. "We'll hold the line." The humans, even the cubs, formed up once again just as they had in the simulation. But this time, the enemy was real. The Iraqian general joined them, his massive frame towering behind the children. The Uran floated nearby, glowing with energy. For the first time in history, aliens and humans stood side by side, a wall of life defending life. The doors exploded open, and mechanical drones stormed in, insect-like, deadly, merciless. Hale shouted, "Now!" The humans moved with precision. The children ducked low, helping reload plasma rifles. The aliens fought with claws, tails, and energy blasts. It was chaos, but organized chaos. And slowly, incredibly, they began to win. The smallest hero as the last wave of drones poured in, one aimed its weapon at the speaker. Before anyone could react, the smallest girl threw herself forward, tackling the speaker to the ground. The blast hit her shoulder. She screamed but didn't let go. The Iraqian general crushed the drone with his claws. "Medic!" he roared. Commander Hale ran to her side, holding her hand. "Stay with me," he said softly. She looked up, tears in her eyes. Did we protect everyone?" He nodded. "You did, kid." "You did." Her eyes fluttered. "Then we win." After the battle hours later, the machines were gone. The station floated scarred but alive. The wounded were treated, the fires put out. The council gathered again. This time not in judgment, but in gratitude. The speaker stood before everyone, her feathers glowing once more. "Yesterday, we questioned the humans," she said. "Today they saved us all." She looked at the girl, now resting in a medical bed wrapped in soft light. "She taught us something no weapon ever could, that courage is not born from power but from love." The hall stood in silence. Then slowly, every alien, every world, began to bow. Even the Iraqian general lowered his great head. "To the cubs of Earth," he said softly, "the bravest of us all." The new promise. Weeks later, the council signed a new agreement. No longer would species compete over who was strongest or smartest. Instead, they would unite under a new motto: protect the future. At the heart of the council's flag, a new symbol was added, a small human hand, holding the claw of an alien child. The final scene, Commander Hale stood once more by the great glass window, looking out at the stars. The little girl joined him, her shoulder still bandaged but her spirit unbroken. "They're not afraid anymore," she said quietly. Hale smiled. "No, they learned what we already knew." "What's that?" she asked. "That we don't bring pets to show what we own," he said. "We bring cubs to show what we protect." The girl smiled and leaned her head against the glass. "Do you think they'll remember us?" Hale looked at the stars, billions of them glowing softly. "They already do," he said. And somewhere across those stars, in languages no human could yet speak, the story spread. The council said, "Bring your pets." The humans brought their cubs, and the galaxy learned the meaning of love.